A couple of weeks ago, I made a video on the stencil buffer in GameMaker, which is a new addition in 2024.6, and it allows you to do some fun things like mask out areas where you want to allow things to be drawn or not drawn. And that allows you to pretty easily do some fun effects like, well, whatever you see on the screen right now. And starting in the August of 2024 GameMaker beta, so that's going to be for 2024.8, we've now been rather quietly given a new feature which can be used to accomplish similar things, at least in certain situations, although it's technically completely unrelated, and that is going to be the scissor test. So, one of the bigger use cases that I can envision for the stencil buffer and stencil tests in GameMaker is to do things such as allowing for example, allowing text inside a region to be clipped, so that if you have like a text box from an NPC or something like that, and if the NPC has a lot to say and the text that they have to say scrolls out of the text box, you probably want to be able to clip that text to the inside of the text box. That can also allow you to do some fun scrolling text shenanigans such as this. And you could do this previously in GameMaker using special shaders or mask surfaces or that kind of thing, disabling alpha writing in certain regions. There's a couple of ways that you could do that. Anyway, one of the bigger complaints about the depth and stencil features in GameMaker, at least at present, is that they don't work on the Draw GUI event, because GameMaker's frame buffer, the way that it's set up, doesn't have depth and stencil information to go with it. And there's a bit of a whole ongoing debate about whether or not GameMaker should enable that so that you can use stencil to clip drawn text. But anyway, assuming that the region that you want to clip is a rectangle, the scissor test, which has been added in GameMaker 2024.8, is actually an easier way to do that, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So, if I run this sample project, right now I'm just going to start off with a checkered background because everyone loves a checkered background. If I have a text box on screen, which I'm just going to imitate with draw rectangle, where do I want to draw the rectangle on screen? How about let's go from 100 and 200 on the screen to, let's say, 700 and 400. Outline only is going to be false. The color, draw set color, C_white. Let's say that we have some text that we want to draw, and the font that I've set up for this example is fairly large. So it shouldn't take too much text to be drawn within this rectangle before it starts spilling out. And if I were to just draw some text, draw text, what do I want to say? Firstly, position, let's draw it at 132 and 232. And, what do I want to say? Some completely random text. I have no idea where that came from. I'm so going to get Russell in my DMs telling me to stop being a weirdo after this. Anyway, if I run this, we should have this text. I need to actually draw set font, don't I? FNT_font should do the job. So if I draw this, this is going to start spilling out of this this little rectangle on the screen. I guess I might want to draw text extended if I want text wrapping here. So the line separation, we can leave that as default, and the width can be, let's say, 600 minus 32 minus 32, and that will cause the text to wrap inside this box here. This string is fairly long, and it doesn't fit in the small space. Dear God, I could have workshopped that sentence a little better. But anyway, innuendos aside, if you wanted to take this string, and if you wanted to clip it so that it stays within that text box and anything that falls out of the text box just disappears, there's a couple of ways that you could have done that in the past, but the scissor test is actually by far easier than anything that you would have done before. So if you want to use the scissor functions, you can say draw, or is it a GPU set scissor, and the scissor region is just going to define a rectangle on screen, and anything that is inside that rectangle will end up on screen, and anything that is outside that rectangle will just be discarded, as if it failed the stencil test, as if it failed a depth test in 3D. Rumor has it that this is a feature that was added to GameMaker so that it could be used for like upcoming UI layer features in Flexbox and whatnot, but we can use it all the same for our own purposes. So GPU set scissor is going to accept either 1 or 4 arguments. We can give it a rectangle on screen with an XY width and height, so 100, 200. And this is an XY width and height as opposed to a 2 corners, the way that things like draw rectangle are have their arguments set up. So if I want to set the scissor region to this rectangle, I'm going to want to say 100, 200, and then the width is going to be 700 minus 100 is 600, and the height is going to be 400 minus 200 is 200. When you're finished, as always, it would be a good job to reset your scissor region to the original, to the default size, which would be 0, 0, and then window get width and window get height. Either that, or if you're in the draw GUI event, you could also do this in like the display get GUI width, display get GUI height. You could also, if you wanted a really easy way to reset this, GPU get scissor, you could use the GPU get scissor function. This will return a struct of 4 values, which can be passed into the GPU set scissor function as a single argument with a struct with x, y, w, and h properties, and that will also allow you to reset the scissor region. Okay, so now when we do this, we can constrain the text so that it stays inside the text box. If you wanted, this is the draw GUI event, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning. If you wanted, for example, text to scroll, for example, when the player hits the scroll wheel or something like that on the mouse, if I initialize a text y offset variable in the create event, which apparently I already did, and if I were to add the text y offset to the vertical point where the text is being drawn, and then we can just do a little if mouse wheel down, if mouse wheel up. Let's see, if you scroll up, I think you would want text y offset to like plus equal 10, and if you scroll down, you would want it to go the other way. This will allow us to scroll the text up and down in that text box with the mouse wheel. Okay. And if the text moves up or down, it is still going to be clipped to the bounds of this box. And we don't have to do anything weird with surfaces. We don't have to do anything weird with like color masking or sprite masking or anything like that. And we now have scrolling text. So that's really about it. There isn't a whole lot to this. This is the scissor test in GameMaker is just a single function to, if you count GPU get scissor. How it works is pretty simple. In fact, I would say that most of you probably didn't even need this video to understand how this works. If you just look at the function name and the function arguments, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. So, I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to provide code for this, because the demo for this is pretty much as simple as it comes. My name is Michael. I like Wizards and Dragons and making games. I like to post videos on the weird stuff you can do in GameMaker, in addition to just GameMaker news updates like this, so if you're interested in 3D stuff or weird shader stuff, feel free to subscribe. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute to the channel, links to that can be found in all the usual places. You should all go check out the Steam page for Wizarducks and the Lost Hat, which is the game that I like to work on when I'm not doing YouTube stuff. I hope you all found this interesting. If you have any fun uses for this beyond just clipping drawn text on the screen, let me know. And I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, VitroV, Squarecrow, Manta Ray, GameMaker, Edward Holt, and DJ Gibbles for supporting these videos. If you want to contribute to the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.